Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I'm originally thinking of some little audience of my friends that are pastors and leaders that are going through these crazy times through the pandemic, and we get to serve the Lord through these times. And as we were talking probably yesterday, I was not in a good place. I was wrestling with a lot of things, and perhaps a couple of you were a little worried, but what's going on? So this morning I was meditating in the Word and praying, and all of a sudden an image came to my mind of sometimes playing volleyball, and when I got a shot in the uh, hard ball and like in the lip, and either bled like a lot, and you were like tossed and you didn't know what to do, and all of a sudden you had this idea, you either get out and pout a little bit, or you are of those that get centered and get focused back again just to win back the game. And sometimes you can feel that you're getting pounded, right? That this time you all of a sudden you're full of questions, sometimes anxiety, and I was meditating on all this. What's my reaction? And some of the things that came to my head was, where's my faith? Where am I standing? What is going to happen? What is going on? Where do I go? How do I lead well? And so I was meditating like in all this, and all of a sudden the Lord brought me this passage to mind and started speaking to me. And all of a sudden I realized that, well, this is not just for me. I can share this quickly with my friends and my brothers and sisters who are leading. So I want to lead you to this all-known passage of 1 Samuel chapter 17. And I will not going to read it, so the message is not so long, or the video is not so long. So you can take a pause, go to your Bible, and grab First Samuel chapter 17. I'll be here just when you're done. No, seriously, go back to the passage and read it. I'm not kidding. I know that you know it. Just do it. Well, I'm trusting that now that you have paused and you are going through the passage. So here are some things that struck me as I was reading First Samuel chapter 17. Is pretty simple. Is that there were two reactions in the Israelite camp. There was a king, there was a there were leaders in of every section, right? And then there were soldiers, and facing the same challenge of Goliath in front of them, they all stood in their places full of fear. They were terrified. But David had a different reaction. He heard the same voices, the same things, and all of a sudden he said, "Oh, wait a minute! This is who he is challenging. Is challenging the armies of God. So this is not okay." And what I'm wondering, what is the thing that is moving us, that is propelling us to do what we need to do? Is it fear? Is it anxiety? It is what? I hope that we are seeing the right scenario, that what is going on. We are facing fears all over the place and challenges, but this is not for our own honor and our own place or advancement, but this is for the glory of God. So I want to lead my people, lead my family, lead myself, for the glory of God, to see God's glory in the place where I am. And one of the things that struck me is that uh, in when David goes to Saul, who should be the one leading, he was the tallest guy in Israel, and we all know the statistics. We even know how Goliath's shoe size was, and why not. We are struck with this idea that all of a sudden we are comparing ourselves with others, and like Saul, well, you need this, and you need to put this on, and you need to put this on, and all of a sudden we hear all the recommendations of the equipment that we need to use, and the things we should be doing, then the here we should do, the this we should do, we should add, and where should we go, and we end up lost. We end up like discouraged because this feels that this is not me. What am I even doing here? What should I do? And by this, I'm not saying that you should not try, that you should not test things, but sometimes we are living and in comparison, believing that our victories depend on the equipment that we use and how trained we are in digital things and media and broadcasting, and we are imagining that if we are not out there and being so capable or so and so, our church will not grow, will not go anywhere, and we are feeling that we might lose the boat, and I'm saying all this because I'm going through that too. And the victory is not, it doesn't depend about the tools that you use. It just depends on the fact that you know that the God who called you is the one who has already trained you for the places and the things that he has called you to do. David has been fighting with lions and bears before. You might not have been in any scenario with pandemics before, but we have quite a bout of rodeos before. And where God has trained you before is exactly what you need for the season that where God called you and placed you. God is not calling us to face this time um, unknowing of the things that you needed. God already provided you with the gifts and callings and talents that you need to serve in the place where He placed you. You are not in the place where you are by just coincidence or parachuted by mistake. God didn't forget about you. God already placed you where He wanted for the purpose that He has, and He has trained you and gave you all what He needed ahead of time because He is not oblivious. And so avoid comparisons. Avoid trying to be somebody else. Just be exactly who you are with the tools that God gave you and with the things that you have access to. And when you go to use your own tools and get to the creek and get all those stones that just be confident in the things that God already gave you and the tools that He gave you and the things that you have practiced over and over. You might need you might be facing a new environment, but that doesn't mean that God forgot to give you what you need. God knew what was coming. So trust in His goodness, trust in His provision. Use the strength you have, the gifts you have to His service. Um, God has already empowered us with all we need for His glory. So I want to call you that you strengthen yourself in the Lord, that you know that you are not working or serving the Lord out of your own strength, that you were not left out there hanging dry with no help, that God has already gave you everything that you need to serve where you're at, and there is no need for you to be able to thinking that you are almost naked out there, right? With no protection, no support, and all by yourself, and everybody feels that everybody's looking at you trying to win this battle all by yourself, right? Like all the Israelites thinking, "Where am I? What are you doing here? What do you think you are?" And all these lies comes like David's brothers. I know who you are. I know what you're trying to do. Everybody is reading ulterior motives in everybody because fear is rampant all around us. But David was not focused on that. He was focused on God's honor. So let's do this. Let's serve our congregation, serve our families, and lead ourselves through these crazy times instead of trying to hide ourselves in safe places, and instead of just doing what all the army was doing, coming every single day and say the call of war, and then going back to their places and hide in fear. I don't want to live there, and I don't want to be claiming victory for some victory that somebody else fought. And I cannot say that I was the one stepping out there and supporting. Sometimes being feels that you are lonely, fighting this battle, and I want to encourage you to say that you're not alone. The Lord is going ahead of you, and that God has already provided for everything that you need. Not because He's like, sometimes He feels that somebody has pulled the rug from underneath us, right? And we don't know what we are doing, and we feel that instead of going forward, we go backwards. So the image that came to me is that when the Philistines were coming in and facing it, God already knew what He was doing. He was not putting it out there to be frightened, but because His promises were so much bigger and His plans were so much bigger than they were thinking, that the plunder and the promises and what God has for them was even bigger than what the king was offering. The king was offering a bunch of money and a bunch of tempting things, but God's honor gives way more than what anybody can offer us. So I want to just close with this thought. Don't feel that you are alone. You're not alone. You're not fighting this on your own strength. You are fighting uh, by the things that God already gave you, but He is fulfilling and making that little stone go to where he needs to go. Um, it you might not feel too savvy or too strong in all this season, but God has everything that you need, everything that we need. We're walking in His promises, not in our own strength. We're not serving out of our own strength and wisdom, because we're gonna fall short. We are doing all this and serving the King in the best of our abilities, and knowing that He does the part that we cannot. Our job is not to try to portray that we know it all, but just to step to the plate, knowing that when we are going there, we are going in His name. So I just want to encourage you with just those little things that really it changed the way I was looking at the day this morning, simply because the word came of the Lord and His encouragement has came, and His promises continues to be the same, because He is the same yesterday and today and forever. And every single time that I open the Bible, I see a problem, and I see the God that is using the problem to take us into better places than we were before. Now I'm not trying to be to sell smoke, but I'm just saying that God is good, and where He's taking us to good places, and He knows what He's doing. So thank you for being there, and say thank you for stepping to the plate. Don't do it in fear, but knowing that the one who called you, He called you ahead of time and provided you everything that you need, so you can do it with confidence, because He's the one who called you, and He has good things. May God bless you. Take care. Bye bye. Oh, by the way, I'm putting a link of a couple of songs, so you can enjoy as a gift. Those were the songs that were ministering to me this morning. So I decided to put them out there for you to enjoy as well. Take care. Bye.